Welcome back, everybody. Let's talk about it. It's been a while. Been busy with work, life, everything else. Check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and submit your comments, questions, concerns at let's talk about it 2150@gmail.com. Today's special guest is my friend Benjamin Dugan. We met playing Destiny 2 and struck up a really good friendship. RIP again to our favorite game of 14 years. It's pathetic. We hate it. It's no good. It's very bad. Nobody likes it. Bungie's terrible. My terrible Trump impersonation, everybody. But, Ben, I'm going to hand it off to you and welcome everybody again to Let's Talk About It.
Well, so first off, thank you for having me. I appreciate you. I do want to piggyback on something. I don't think we're going to stop playing it. Bungie's kind of like your second. She's like a mistress, she's like that side piece that your wife allows you to keep. But I also think that Sony is not, I don't think Sony's going to be pushed into a corner by what is that, changeme.org, petition.org, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I don't think it doesn't matter if they get to 500,000 signatures or 300,000 signatures. The leverage that change.org or whatever it is, petition.org, there's not enough leverage. I mean, you're talking millions of dollars. So regardless of what people want, I think the best hope that we have is just to kind of hope and wait. I think, it's like any other game that we waited for. I mean, I'm 43. I remember playing Borderlands, the very first one. And when it finally ended, in between all that time, we ended up, with different expansions, and we had Handsome Jack and blah, blah, blah. And then finally, unbeknownst to anyone, Borderlands 4. And, that's kind of how everyone felt when Destiny 2 dropped. When Destiny 2 came around, everyone lost their minds. And I guarantee you, when Destiny 1 was ending, people were probably losing their minds at that point too. So again, for all we know, you're going to hear stories about layoffs and everything else. Maybe they're treating it like some political scandal. I mean, it's just probably just a bunch of gaslighting. And tomorrow morning at 5 a.m, Destiny 3 is going to drop, and you're just going to shit your pants, and we're not even going to know.
Everyone's going to be like, "Oh my God, what just happened?" Gotcha. We're just holding you on the line, just fishing you along.
I don't think Destiny I don't think Destiny's going to go anywhere. I mean, during the period of time we've been playing, when people get off or they get sick of updates or they get sick of farming for the same weapons or shooting the same bad guys, they just go and play Destiny 1.
Yeah.
Or go play and they'll come back, to a Discord server or to a chat and oh man, well, the servers in Destiny 1 aren't even opening, man. And so then they're like stuck in Destiny 2 and realize how good it really was the first time.
Yeah, I mean, I've been in that same slump before. Get over and over, get sick and tired of playing Destiny 2 because especially that year that they delayed Witch Queen so long. I mean, it was terrible. So went back to playing D1, but also got back into playing Fallout and Fallout 4 and New Vegas and everything. I like Fallout. It's fun.
I remember Fallout coming along during Skyrim when we were still logging 40,000. Not to make this into a huge podcast about gaming, but I will say this: I'm not sure how many thousands of hours I have playing Skyrim. Okay, but it's just in my off time not being adept. Skyrim is an addiction, okay? It is a bad addiction. And for those of you out there that have played Skyrim, know exactly what I'm talking about. And so when Fallout came around, crafting your own hair follicle, for crying out loud, you could literally craft a hair follicle. I mean, so I think right now people are going to gravitate towards things like GTA 6 coming out, and Crimson Desert seems to be a big one. Crimson Desert is kind of like if
I've
Skyrim.
heard of that one.
Yeah, it's open world. It's gonna be like Skyrim meets GTA meets Fable meets kill everything.
Fable. I really enjoyed Fable back in the day. That one was good. They were like when they came out with the new Xbox Series X, they were supposed to be bringing out a brand new Fable, but that got pushed on the back burner. Diet Dr. Pepper is our sponsor today, folks. Dr. Pepper.
That is a lie. SodaStream. Wait, I can't say SodaStream, huh? Because they're okay. Well, I got this machine. It made It makes fizzy. What is it? How does he say it? Fizzy bubbly. My orange fizzy. What's the in Zohan? What's to say? My fizzy bubbly. Anyway, I got this machine. It's called Soda Streams back there. You stick this cool little bottle under there, and it makes everything all bubbly for you. It carbonates your water. And I have any flavor of soda that I want, any flavor of tea, what have you. So I just fill up the water, carbonate it, and dump the flavor right in, and I've got months, weeks on end of anything I want carbonated.
That's
It's
pretty
very
cool.
cool. It is. And they have Dr. Pepper as well. And this bottle is 24 flow ounces. And it will make, so if this is a 20, oh, I'm sorry. It's a 28 flow ounce bottle. And that little flavoring jug back there is no bigger than the size of a soda pop can. And it makes probably 10 or 12 of these 28-ounce bottles.
That's
So
pretty cool.
yeah, I guess if this were Dr. Pepper syrup, imagine it making like 12 of these. So you should probably get a soda stream. Make as much as
Eh,
you want.
Yeah. Thanks for tuning in for today's sponsors, and we're going to get immediately flagged.
By massive corporations. I'm glad that
Not even monetized.
I'm that was the joke I was big. I wonder how long it takes for people to get a sponsor. I mean, like, how cool do you have to be to have a sponsor? You know what I mean?
I
Does
have
this have
no,
to
I have no idea.
Does it have to direct an audience of thousands before someone's like, I like those two guys? Maybe if they, maybe
Probably.
we can get them to change their name and get some knee pads on, and then maybe, just maybe, they will take so.
Get on your knees for Soda Stream.
I'll show you my soda stream. Sorry, Mom.
We're definitely this is going to be an explicit episode. We're tagging it for E for explicit.
Hey, it's still kid friendly. You just have to explain the joke to the child, and that is also up to your discretion too. Anyway, I'm in Seattle, Washington. For those of you that wanted to know, I know he's had multiple guests on the show, or for that I know of. 43. I have two sons and a wife. I'm in Olympia, so I'm an hour from Seattle. So usually I use Seattle as the waypoint when I tell people where I'm at. I do believe Jacob. Most of you know that Jacob is in Tennessee, and we kind of met playing Destiny. We really hit it off over movies, in particular Jay and Silent Bob. And I don't know if anyone is familiar with Kevin Smith. Produces some movies. Most of you guys are familiar with Clerks. I think Clerks is probably the more mainstream of the rest of them. But
that or Dogma.
Or Dogma, yeah. But when you get on a video game like Destiny 2, and every other sentence that comes out of your mouth while playing with your gamer mate, if you will, is a quote or line from the movie,
Avenge me, M. Night.
Friendship then blooms, if you will, and it just kind of took off from there. So here I am. I find myself on a podcast after screaming "Avenge me, Hemp Night" 5,000 times.
You know, that was pretty funny. I mean, I think that was probably one of the first or second times we actually played together, and we're sitting there right in the middle of this whole conglomerate of mechanics, and like he just gets wiped off the map. He's like, "Avenge me, Hemp Night." And I just die laughing. Like, cock knocker, how'd you get that name? He's like, no way, you know the Jersey series? Of course.
I didn't. It's hard to believe that It's hard to believe. I guess it's not hard to believe, but at the same time, it's hard to believe. It's funny, and the comedic relief that you get from. And that's really, honestly, those movies aren't that vulgar. They're not horrible. It's just the two actors that are in them that get a little more nuance to their name, I guess, is a good way to put it. But Mewes and Smith, I mean, Jason Mewes and Kevin Smith, really, they're not all what make the movies. But if you're walking around and somebody is mentioning the Jersey series, you got to remember that, they're talking specifically about something that you may never know about. And so that's why it's so funny to hear somebody in a video game mention something that's totally just arbitrary, ambiguous, out of the blue, and you're playing with all these other people, and the one guy you understand the most is the guy screaming something from a video series that nobody knows anything about. And if if you guys don't know what the Jersey series is, you guys should all start. I think the general audience probably should. If it were me, I would say start with Mallrats. Snickety snoring, snickety snoring. And
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, say, would you like a chocolate covered pretzel? And it's just,
Yeah. Don't you
it's,
like a chocolate covered pretzel?
it's just one of those things, man. I don't, I think it was, I
Mallrats was
think
classic.
it was, and I think it was. I think it was Mallrats for me too. I think Mallrats was the first one that I got tuned into. And then when I realized who the two main characters were, that they had their own movie, I I think the movie came out later, but then when I realized that Clerks and Dogma and all of those were related, that's when I really got interested. But other than
I'm
movies and
pretty sure
video
the
games,
first one pretty sure the first one I remember seeing was Jay and Silent Bob Struck Back. That one was the big one in high school with Will Ferrell and a stupid orangutan.
yeah. That was after the mainstream brought them to life. Right. Yes. And that is, I think that's the one that when I say vulgarity and nuance, that's definitely that'd be the one. Here's what I do. I take that little thing. I'm like, oh, yeah, you like that? You like that?
I their organization, the women's organization, the animal activist or whatever, turned out to be a jewel thieves heist. They were called Clit, and he's like, "You want to say something about the Clit? I am the Clit commander. I just want to rub it and touch it and snuggle it, and so stupid."
I think the fact that this podcast is called Let's Talk About It, it's perfect because you can have multiple people on here talking about Jay and Silent Bob for an hour and it would never get old. You just have to direct that one podcast to just like a quarter of the population because only a quarter of the people are that horrible. How can you watch this?
But that
How can you watch this?
That's what I love. That's what I love actually about this whole idea of how I wanted to do this was all this just general conversation between comedy, movies, politics, religion, spirituality. I wanted to have a huge hodgepodge and get everybody's 2 cents on stuff. Like people ask me, "Is like, well, what's your podcast about?" I'm just like, think about Joe Rogan and Charlie Kirk and mix them together, and we'll see what happens. Challenging the norm, and then going out in the middle of nowhere.
Wait, you'd have to add Rachel Maddow to that as well. I mean, if you wanted to have the entire shitstorm per se in one go. I mean, maybe not.
What's the?
I wouldn't, but that's just me.
We need to get you downloaded on.
You need to get me what?
I said I think we need to get you downloaded on the old computer here. Like once you get that microphone situated, that will help out a lot.
Yeah, it's
But
not sounding all that great
I
on your
think
end.
no, I think what it does though, and I think that where the program I use is like Riverside plug. But I think what it does, the AI goes in and amplifies the video and stuff. So even if it is a little bit fuzzy and laggy and stuff, it will download your recording to the cloud and then amplify all the sounds and stuff. So it's all good. It's
The
all good.
if when I dragged down the menu earlier, it had said something like AI voice assistant, which I never even knew my phone
Hmm.
had. I mean, I know it's there because I use AI quite a bit, but not while using an app other than Gemini or something like that. And I also have my Wi-Fi turned
Yeah.
off right now. And I think what's happening is I'm too far from the router, I think. But I'm also that's really weird because I have Wi-Fi throughout the entire house, but I'm also actively recording live. So I don't know if that has anything to do with it. Not entirely too sure.
Uh,
But I'm also at my wife's workstation. And this is where I get to hear her scream and yell about this website sucks. Turn the internet back on. I'm like, the internet's on. So I digress. This is probably this is why we're having problems with the podcast.
it like I'm pretty sure like once it because I meant to tell you this before we hit the record button, but I can edit all this out. But it is what it is. Like after we get done, like when we stop, make sure to let the phone download all the information before you unplug or disconnect everything.
Yeah, I saw that. I noticed it. So what are
Okay.
your thoughts on I mean not to drag this everywhere, but what are your thoughts on the podcast, the not this podcast, but in general? as far as where people get their information and stuff like that. I mean, do you think we're at a time where this is going to be a, a far better way to gather information, collect the news, your entertainment? What are the popular movies? What's actually happening? I mean, for all we know, there's probably a podcast right now happening in Ukraine, and we're not even watching it. We're watching Fox News or something like that.
Yeah, honestly, bud, I think this is probably where you're going to get your most. You can either get one or two. You get very outlandish information, you can get very conspiracy driven information, or you get some people that actually want to actually, say what's going on, like the Hodge twins. They were like completely like divvying out stuff. Like Graham Allen, he does a lot of political updates and stuff. But I think our news media is compromised hardcore. Like Fox News, CNN, everybody, I think they're all compromised. And I've talked about this on previous podcasts, but especially that Operation Mockingbird
Right.
hantavirus. Like one little outbreak happens, next thing you know, everybody is hantavirus, 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 another pandemic, another pandemic. Next thing you know, we're going to be in the new normal again. And then now it's Ebola or Ebola, not Ebola.
Ebola. It didn't.
Gosh,
It
make
did.
sure we.
Haven't people already had the Ebola virus?
Yeah, it's just in sorry Nigeria or wherever this is at, the African plains, but third world medical structures, you're gonna have a little bit more blah blah blah.
The
I lost it again.
the interesting thing I think about,
Jesus.
I don't know if it be Operation Mockingbird, but I think the interesting thing about the way that
And
our podcasts are
we'll be
kind of taken
back,
over
folks. I'm still
is
recording. I'll let him. He'll
people are
come in
getting
in a
it late.
second.
They'll tune in to what they think that they've got, and so it creates an entire generational portion of like people that think one thing, and then a year later they'll watch the podcast, and then they'll kind of become part of that group that is in the now and the know. And I think that's really interesting because podcasts themselves are either catching up themselves, or they're also in the know and in the now, immediately. So kind of like Joe Rogan, you know what I mean? News. And that was really interesting. By the time they actually or that news is disseminated, there's already going to be something new and alive on another podcast.
We've tried and tried and tried with technical difficulties, life, and everything else. So welcome back. I feel like we've had this conversation 20 times already. So yeah. So for you guys hearing this the first time around, this is our 20th retape because of technical issues. I think we finally narrowed it down, though. So Ben is in his little corner, about yay big, to where his signal actually works. And now my cables are messing up. So we're going to try to get this going. So welcome back to the show. Check us out, Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcast, anywhere you get your podcast. Also, Gmail. I told you wrong the last time. It's let's talk about it 2150@gmail.com. Send in your comments, questions, concerns, and we'll talk about it. That is LETS. Talk about it. Not no apostrophe. So
I love it. I love the intro. I really feel like it's gonna go comedic today. We've already got like, the podcast, Apple, but all you could see was fingers. So you're just like podcast, Apple Music. And you're like, lesbians talk about it. It's just
yay, comedy. Woo!
I have so many things just running through my mind right now. It's just not, but those aren't not those that's not one of them.
We do have an explicit setting, so if it has to go plus 18, I can put a rating.
Hey, just tell the parents to educate their kids. It's okay.
Yeah, for all the parents out there that need to educate their kids, a boy has a penis and a girl has a vagina.
Arnold
Yay.
Schwarzenegger made that perfectly clear. Well, the kid did, but maybe we should educate the people again.
Yeah. Oh my God, let's get it even more crazier. There's only two genders.
I was gonna say, hey, we could take this podcast and put it on Discord. We could show the Durf how it's really done. I've told him we should throw a shout out to Durf. I have told Durf, for those of you who don't know, Durf is, or the Durf Gaming.
Derv.
The Durf Gaming is a YouTube channel that makes really cool builds. So if you play Destiny and you really like build crafting, Durf happens to be someone who creates builds for different different subclasses within the video game. Certain games have people that, have cool abilities like fire or electricity. Stasis, is ice. And Destiny is one of those video games. Anyway, the Durf Gaming on YouTube, he does build crafting and he has a Discord. People can go join it and they can talk to him and they can, get filled in on the latest news and stuff like that. But as of late, Durf has been asking the community, the Discord community, whether or not we'd like to see him stream or whether or not what game would we like to see him play? And I have privately messaged him a couple of times to solidify something to make it the Durf, right? Like put on some aviators so no one can see his face, right? While
Put on
he's
some
like,
aviators, a captain's hat.
yeah, like he's on Twitch and all you can see is this dude with like a hairdo, whatever facial hair he's got, but he's playing his game and he's got aviators and it just goes Dirt Gaming. And like it just zooms back out. I would really, really, really think that someone like him with his personality would totally hit it off big. A lot of people really hone in to his videos because they're very straightforward. They're not, and this is why I did this, and this is why I did that. And then, spending 5 minutes explaining one aspect of one portion of one thing. He just goes, you pick this because it works, and then you pick that because that works, and then use this, and this. Let's move on.
Yeah.
Now you did
Put,
right. So it,
put on
yeah,
Praxic Blade. Put
yeah, I
on
think,
Echoes
yep.
of Destruction.
I think the guy would do a lot better than he think. I think he would do a lot better than he think he would. Think he does. Think he would. Look, it doesn't matter. I think that a lot of these people are going to fall off. Is my point. I think Mactix is going to fall off. Shout out to Mactix, I guess. Aztec Cross is pretty good. I mean, he's been doing a lot of different things, not just Destiny content. But I think the Derp is one of those.
He started a war with Bungie.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. And
I
and I
think
don't
I
I don't wanna talk about video games forever, but I just wanna send a shout out to Durf. I think that the gaming community would really appreciate it if Durf just stuck around. I think he's got a lot more oomph behind his name than he thinks. I think he's got a lot more people behind him than he thinks. I just wish he would do more. I wish he would do some live content. I wish he would, and I'm not saying show your face, like, if you don't wanna do that, don't do that, but we wanna hear you. We wanna see what you're doing, we wanna communicate with you, not just through a keyboard, we really do enjoy his Discord and the back and forth with the guy,
really
so,
knowledgeable dude too.
yeah,
Smart, fun to play with,
very
chill.
much so. Yeah,
After it's done, see ya, fellas.
yeah.
Poof,
It's just this,
disappears.
"Alright, guys, I'm off, have a nice day." Yeah, cool guy.
And now we're out of stuff to talk about.
No, we're never out of not when I'm on the podcast. We're never out of stuff to talk about. No, I don't think I didn't want to go without mentioning the dirt.
The derf.
I
I'll
mean,
tell
and
you
that's
what,
what
I'm
makes it.
gonna.
I know what's coming next.
What's that?
You're gonna say something about I'm gonna dirt. Yeah, I'm gonna
No,
dirt your
I was about
mind.
to say I'm about to take this camera and launch it across my room right now. It's like the other
You're
night
gonna
we're having technical issues with you. Now it's mine for some stupid reason. I know what it is. It's this cheap USB-C cable that I have right here, and it's probably like I can't transfer data because I'm freaking
I'm gonna.
retarded.
That's it. I'm gonna derf the phone or derf the camera across the room. I got it. There's got to be a definition
You
for
see,
derf.
Durf,
I mean, that's what makes it so
com-
great.
one of those comic strips, like the Pow Boom, whatever, be like Durf, whoosh,
Yeah, yeah,
Durf,
yeah. Just like the sound effect it would make, like when
swish.
Batman would go pow. Yeah, pow.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. That's what makes it so
come.
cool.
I tried to turn this thing on Do Not Disturb. I don't know why it's messing with me tonight. I've got plenty of signal. I mean, it's still recording my voice, and it's probably recording the video. I've got 100 apps open on my phone. Let me kill all these real quick. Maybe that's why. I
A
got my
B
mailbox
C
open.
E F.
Yeah.
Every time I see a keyboard,
There was a cool section in a movie one time. I think it was that Wanted movie. I think it was where they shot the bullets off and twisted it when they shot. Had Angelina Jolie in it. I think it was.
No, I really liked the movie. I thought it was cool.
Yeah, but that dude takes that freaking keyboard and hits a dude right across the face with it, and just spells that "fu" across the screen
Yeah,
in slow motion.
yeah, golly, that's Professor X. That's right. It's Professor X
Yeah,
smacking keyboard crayon.
McAvoy
Yeah,
there.
he wasn't so disabled in that in that movie, was he? He didn't. He only needed a rocking chair and a bullet.
There we go.
He got it all fixed.
I think so. People at home watching was like, "What is he doing?" I'm messing with my camera. Leave me alone.
Yeah, it's not that we didn't have anything to talk about. It's just that I was waiting for him to come in clear. That's all.
That's what she said. Most of the time, it's just pasty white, but whatever.
That's why we have the windows open. But now we're two-faced, so we're extra pasty on one side and like half sunburned on the other.
Mysterious as the dark side of the moon.
Speaking of dark side of the moon, how about that? That was it. SpaceX? Was it the which was it? SpaceX? Did you see the explosion?
Well, that was old Bezos. Bezos
Was that
trying to freaking
Bezos?
copy. Yeah, it's Amazon Express going to the moon now, but they just can't seem to get the project off the ground.
No, no. This is the one. Yeah. So that is the big explosion. Yes. That. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
it
That's
was
that.
definitely Bezos, Jeff Bezos doing that.
Yes. There
But
was
I don't know
another
what it was called.
explosion. Me neither. I don't.
That was an Amazon. That was definitely an Amazon Prime explosion right there.
It was an Amazon package. It was just some dude throwing it on your door, ringing your Ring camera, and just pressing the Ring camera, and it's just running off.
Yeah, he
As a,
definitely sent an express package to Iran that was explosive packaging.
that that was a pretty wicked explosion. I'm not gonna lie.
No,
I've
it was
always
pretty
wondered.
nasty.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen some pretty big explosions, but I've always wondered what one of those would look like. But that's a lot of fuel, man. That I wanted to kind of, if you, I wonder if there's footage. I haven't seen footage from further away. I've only seen footage, what everyone else has seen. But I digress. What I was thinking of originally was the SpaceX flight. I
Yeah,
guess you could call it a flight. They had a kind of an explosion, but SpaceX launched a rocket with I guess we'll just call it a spaceship. And I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but when it separated, it went up there and they were maneuvering it. I'm not entirely too sure if they were, working with a keyboard or, a controller, but they were maneuvering the thing and it was, yeah, it was super cool. It was up there. It was doing like turns. I mean, they were slow, but they
yeah,
were turning it. They were moving it. They were making it go upside down and sideways and back and forth. And this is in space, right? So the they're controlling a spaceship. And we all thought that was pretty cool, I guess, because everyone on the ground, I mean, I thought it was cool. And I'm pretty sure we all want to see something, pretty Star Trekky. We've all seen cartoons and movies with, you know, spaceships that, do all kinds of cool stuff. But in reality, I guess these things move pretty slow. I don't know how far we've come, but this is the first time I've ever seen anything like that. Anyway, when it came down, it was still moving. They were when it was coming through reentry, it was still doing stuff. They were still controlling it. And when it came down to the ocean, it I mean, just like an F-35, it stalled and went like put on an air brake, like it was going to go back
yeah.
up and just collapsed right on the ocean and it just exploded and everyone was up and everyone was so happy because of all the maneuvering that it did and they really wanted it to actually I think that's what they were aiming for was it for to pull an e-brake I think and
Mhm.
then it exploded but yeah SpaceX had an explosion but they had some really cool moments during the video there's a cool short when they get the camera on the thing and it's up there but I can't imagine this thing being any longer than the truck outside. I mean, it was probably like 15 feet, 20 feet. It looked like a submarine. It looked like a little drug cartel submarine. That's what it looked like.
A
And,
truck
and
cartel submarine.
that's what it looked like, man. It was just like a big giant hot dog. It looked like the Oscar Mayer hot dog mobile. Only it was
Okay,
maneuvering.
now
I mean,
that has got to be a great idea to launch the Oscar Mayer wiener dog into space. Yeah,
what's the movie where they look up into space and they see and I don't remember the name of the movie, but they look up into space through the telescope and they see something really funny. I'm thinking I don't think it's not Spaceballs. It doesn't matter, but that would be
You talk
funny
about
to
Austin
look out your.
Powers.
Is it Austin Powers? Is it? Yeah, it's
Yeah, they
Austin
made a
Powers. Right.
they made a crap ton of they made an absolute crap ton of penis jokes.
Is they had what is it the lady that turns into she's like made out of metal and she's floating through
Fembot,
space.
that Spaceballs.
Is that Spaceballs?
Yeah, because Spaceball 1, the big ship turns into a like a French maid with a vacuum cleaner, and they suck all the
That's
air.
right. That's
Yeah.
right. Okay, that's what I'm thinking of. Okay. Well, it would be funny is to look out your telescope and see a giant hot dog, let alone a giant maid with a vacuum cleaner.
I wish it was an Oscar Mayer wiener. Holy crap! That's a big wiener in the air. This is driving me insane. I'm about to unplug I'm about to do something different here.
Yeah, and then
I don't
start
know.
all over.
Yeah, I'm not doing it. I'm just gonna deal with it. It's still recording. It's fine. It's like the other night whenever you were all like doing all that stuff, and you
I
still
was.
like recorded. You still recorded it like what we're doing now.
It
So
was
like it
like a
took it in.
it was like a 1990s Pepsi commercial where the guy was just, with those
Yeah.
weird glasses with the slits in them. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
That's the kind of mask and Durf to wear, dude. Just wear the glasses with the slits in them. You are not just comedy motivated, which is really really fun to be part of a podcast that has it's multifaceted. I think Let's Talk About It is going to go places when eventually we figure out technical issues and I stop picking my nose and itching my armpit. And we figure out whether or not the windows are going to be open. And I think it's going to be a big thing. And I think people are really going to walk to it and mock my words, man. I think mock them and mark them. I think it's going to be something for the ages. I don't think Joe Rogan quite understands the complexity of what he's done entirely. I really don't. When he brings someone to his podcast, that person usually has something, they're bringing to the table. Like if you bring a president, they're bringing their presidency. If you bring Arnold Schwarzenegger to the table, he's bringing, you know, the Iron Man, and he's bringing, Mr. Universe. If you bring a movie star or a comedian, they're bringing whatever they do to that table, and that's what starts those conversations. But something like Let's Talk About It is going to be so multifaceted that you don't even have to touch on one specific thing. Even if you did bring, a president or Arnold Schwarzenegger onto the podcast, I don't want to hear about him pumping weights. I
Yeah.
want to hear about, you know, that side piece where where he had the kid and why, and then I want to hear about like what was it like filming Hercules in New York, and what is it like hearing your own voice when people make
Your
fun of it
own
on a
voice.
daily basis? You know what I'm saying? Like when you're playing video games and all you can hear is people going, get to the chopper. Like, what is that like? Or, having a president, and instead of talking, politics and talking about his administration, we talk about every single time he's got to hear the word Cheeto, something like that. I just want the conversations to be more, again, I think multifaceted is such a good word for let's talk about it. But I think this podcast, the last podcast, the one before that, I think the constructive feedback and the constructive criticism is going to be good because people will probably eventually focus on the word it. Let's talk about it. What is the it? I think
Yeah.
that's probably where people are going to I'm gonna grab my drink. I'm curious about what people may think about what will the opinion be on, man, I found this new podcast, bro, but they talk about all kinds of stuff and their conversations they just go crazy. They just and the one guy, he never shuts up, you know.
Yeah, hold on. Um I'm probably I'm kind of mad at this all of a sudden.
It's better to be pissed off than be pissed on.
Well, I think I figured out my problem.
Wait, is that the dog?
No, no, that's that cable I was telling you about.
I thought that was Barkley under the table. I found the problem.
No, but I do think that the reason why my phone keeps doing this is because it's not connected correctly and it's not showing that it's charging on my side, and normally it shows charging. So please. And the bad thing is like I think everything we just discussed, it like freaked out and said it stopped recording, but I'm pretty sure that we could probably piece this together. So just hold what we got right now. So technical difficulties one more time.
That's all right. We will figure this out. So I think, Jacob, one of the things that we should eventually touch on is going to be the political side of where we stand, because a lot of people are going to want to chime in with, well, how do you feel about the war in Iran? But, you know, 20 years ago, it would have been, man, how do you feel about the war in Iraq? And then before that, before that, like, what do you think about, Clinton, not failing, bro? Or like, there were so many things and so many people that want feedback about political stance on every single issue that it's hard to respond sometimes, whether you're left or right. You want to try and stay a little bit down the middle. So I'm kind of wondering what do we tell the people that ask these
Yeah, I'll tell you
questions?
straight up. So I'm more central, kind of libertarian. I like that frame of mind a lot. Element. But I mean, for the majority of my majority of my political history here, I've always been, Republican. I've always leaned Republican, leaned right. Anymore, I just don't recognize the party that I used to follow, and it just goes back to how I feel everything is corrupt anymore. And it's like I'm all about free healthcare. I think it's a universal right. It shouldn't be no different than, you know, if you can spend $200 billion or whatever $1 billion on a war, you can take care of your country. That's all I'm saying. Canada, people like, oh, Canada's free healthcare and it sucks. I've seen people in Canada who talk about it and they're like, it's fine. It works great. It's a flat rate all the way across. And I'm all about less government. There's too many rules. Since when do you need a license to go fish or a license to go freaking do this or a license to do that? You're freaking, it's about retarded. It's too much. And then, of course, those idiots up there who are making our laws doing insider trading. I mean, it's like we were talking about the other day, Ilyan Omar and AOC and all these idiots. Like, if you got subpoenaed by the court and you didn't show up because you didn't feel like it, Pam Bondi, because you didn't feel like it, forgot. Well, that put us underneath the freaking jail and throw away the keys. It's rules for thee, not rules for me, and I'm sick of it. I'm all about small government, universal health care, get rid of big pharma. It's all a mess, and we need a cultural reset. That's where I stand right now until somebody else can come in there and do a better job. Maybe actually fix something. I love Bernie Sanders. Not, I don't love Bernie Sanders. Like, oh my God, I think he's great. I think he's a moron. Wants to sit there and talk about all these rich oligarchs all the time. And Elon Musk. Elon Musk got all this money. Dude, you got 4 houses, 3 of which are in Vermont. Okay, how about you?
Right. He's been yapping. He's been yapping about oligarchy since like
Well, it's the same thing
1994,
with the Netanyahu document. The
95.
indoctrination of it, not Netanyahu. This whole Iran's got a nuclear weapon. They're 2 weeks away from a nuclear weapon. 2 weeks away from a nuclear weapon. That was 20 years ago. They should have obliterated you off the face of the earth if they had a nuclear weapon. Who knows? I don't. It's a big sandbox over there.
Yeah. What's interesting is I have seen, and I remember I was pretty young, but I do remember there being a lot of speculation about Iran then. If we don't do something now, then 10 or 20 years from now, we will be in such and such a position. And looking back on some of those memories, you can now find some of those clips. And it's really funny I say that because I mean, I don't want to put myself up on a pedestal here because I specifically mention it to that degree, but Marco Rubio was one of those people who was really taking a stance back then. Fast forward 30 years, and here we are. And I think what's really interesting is regardless of any type of nuclear weapon, whether or not they wanted to launch it or not, they can control an entire strait with one weapon. They can control they to heck with OPEC. They could control anything and everything with that one waterway if they had that weapon. And I think, sanctions is one thing. I think the Iranian deal is another. I think a lot of people get kind of confused as to how it works and whatnot, and I'm not going to go into it. But, allowing someone to just do what they want to do and then look the other way and then, eventually, they lie. When you think about it like that, you have to imagine how many other countries are doing this. And I think that's something that not a lot of people think about. So even if we were to touch on Iran that same way, dude, is Bangladesh making a bomb? How far, what kind of nuclear capability do these other countries have that we're not talking? Or is it because, there's more extremists on one side than the other? Clearly Buddhists are going to be peaceful, or, if you're more Shinto, than the other, you know what I mean? But I think there's clearly a lot of aspects that we could throw in there to hypothesize all kinds of different, things. But at the end of the day, I do think
Yeah.
this goes a little bit beyond a bomb. Since the original Shah was elected out of office,
They
I
got
don't think
sold a
these
lot,
people
basically.
knew what they were getting themselves
I
into.
believe they got sold a
And
lot. Uh,
going, well,
I was listening to somebody talk about this the other day, and
yeah,
they were talking
and
about in the
then,
70s when Iran
yeah,
looked like the United States. The culture over there was completely different. It's free, you know, people having pool parties and enjoying life. And I think kind of like what we're going through right now, where the Shah was heavily disliked, and you had a group of people rising up saying, well, we should get rid of this guy and vote in their current situation, what's IRGC, whatever you call it, the Islamic regime. So the Islamic regime is like, yeah, vote us in, and we'll do Iran better, and we'll do everything good. And then they fooled them and got themselves voted in, overthrew the government basically at that point, and installed an authoritarianism theology. And then once that was done, I mean, here's a perfect example. You ever seen The
yeah.
Handmaid's Tale? That's exactly
Yes, it's
okay.
IRGC, by the way.
I couldn't remember
It's
exactly what it stood
Iran
for,
Revolutionary
but
Guard
if
Corps.
you look at like the
IRGC.
whole
Yeah.
basis behind The
Yeah,
Handmaid's
Handmaid's
Tale,
Tale.
it was the same thing. America's having a, you know, big issue here. It's a group of people got elected with some new, fresh ideas. Little by little got chipped away, and then all of a sudden, revolution, coup takes place, and then Gilead overthrows the United States, and boom, authoritarianism, theology, or theocracy, sorry. And then it's the same thing you see in Iran. Like, I'm pretty sure, like, there was a couple weeks ago, there was a girl who was hung in public because what they say her crime was being an enemy of God. How ridiculous is that?
Yeah.
And then they murder their own people.
Yeah.
So if you want my
Yeah,
personal
there
opinion
was
about
quite a
it,
few of them
and
too.
here's the other thing: as soon as that first
Yeah.
ceasefire that was ever, when Trump gave them the ultimatum and gave them till 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time to make a decision, and they called at like you know 30 minutes until the button was pressed. And they're like, wait, we want to make a deal. Now they're playing a cat and mouse game. They're going to be like, okay, well, we'll talk. And then at the last minute, refuse. And then at the last minute, before they get obliterated, it's like, wait, we'll talk. It's just a back and forth. And Trump, for some odd reason, keeps letting it happen. I get it. He wants to
Yeah.
be diplomatic. He doesn't want to blow anybody up, despite what the Democrats and half the country thinks. He's trying to resolve this negotiating, at this point, and I put this post on Facebook. 'Cause I remember you comment on it too, but I put this on Facebook and I said, "You're gonna make us look like we're all talk at this point." It's like we've been a superpower for years since World War II. I mean, easy since World War II, and all this little all talk and no action is going to bite us in the butt. If they think if the other countries think, oh, if Iran can run over the United States,
Yeah.
maybe we
Yeah.
can do
I mean,
something about it.
I think part of the issue is that since World War II, we've come so far politically, though. Like we were just saying, in the 70s, it looked like Shangri-La. Now it's, someone killing 40,000 people. So, in World War II, there would have been no reason to have some sort of diplomatic conversation. But in 1970, there may have been a reason to have a diplomatic conversation. Well, now we're kind of past that because
Now,
whoever's there doesn't want to have a diplomatic conversation whatsoever. And the minute we're all in Pakistan talking about diplomacy, people are
That,
launching missiles. And I think the other
oh, I'm
thing
sorry. That right there aggravates me to
that
death.
people fail to forget.
And I
Go ahead.
listen. I am pro-Israel. I've always been pro-Israel. I've always been taught that God blesses those who blesses Israel. I think the people of Israel, but even the Bible says that not all of Israel are Jew and Greek. I mean, it goes. I mean, that's the whole New Testament, right? Jesus came to save everybody, making everybody spiritual Jews, right? So the nation of Israel, the government of Israel, is corrupt, and all they're doing is being a bunch of war dogs. They've been a bunch of war pigs. We've been picked on since 19. We had the Holocaust. We've been picked on. We have the right to survive. We have the right to do this. We have the right to do that. Whenever we're in the middle of peace talks and trying to negotiate issues, don't be going over there bombing freaking Lebanon. Come on, guy.
I think one other thing you're going to have to remember, as well as everybody else, is unfortunately what a lot of people don't know is that Lebanon has been trying to eradicate Hezbollah themselves. And when Lebanon starts asking for help, all you hear is Israel's been
Yes,
bombing Lebanon
yes, yes,
because
yes.
they're the
Drop
first
bombs.
ones to
Yay.
go, I'll do it.
Shalom.
I'll do it. But now, not only do you have, Israel bombing the bottom of Lebanon, but you've got Lebanon bombing Lebanon. And that is frustrating to Iran because that's a proxy. So anyone who's a proxy, just the other day they said, "Oh, wait a minute. Nope, nope. We're no longer talking. You guys are now, because you guys support Israel and Israel is bombing our friend Hezbollah, peace talks." I find that really interesting. Also, Marco Rubio is Secretary of State had his hearing today, his budget hearing, congressional budget hearing, and he went through quite a few things as to why we have the blockade. Economically, if you look at the
Yeah.
price during those ceasefire talks, the price of oil had been going down, 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 down. The trade. I don't remember how far up the Dow went, but the Dow, and
Last time I looked, the Dow was at
I
over
don't remember the other
50,000,
one. Having a
over
hard time remembering
50,000,
it.
and the S and
Yeah,
P has hit over
it's up there.
7,000.
It is up there.
And
And
I've never seen the S&P at
is it the
7,000.
S&P?
And
Yeah,
that's
it's up there.
that's crazy.
Right. I think when people go, "Oh, well, Trump is playing 5D chess," another thing people fail to remember is how little the president actually runs the country. He's got an entire
Yeah.
cabinet that do things on their own all the time because that's their job. When you have a job, if I'm your boss and I tell you to go, do something, I want you to take a marker and write on the wall all day. You can write whatever you want. Go. Pay at 50 an hour, go right on the wall every day. Well, if I can't control what you write, but one day I come in and I find out that you're maybe drawing things on the wall that I don't appreciate or like, well, I might not fire you, but I might tell you to kind of slow it down a little bit. Then you got, media propaganda that's going to bust in and say, look, he's been drawing this and drawing that, and everything's going to be thrown into a negative light. But it does go to show you,
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
often you can't control the person that's writing on the wall, pun intended. And, I think it destroying them economically, if we were just to focus on just Iran and not try to adhere, Iran, like I did earlier, not to bring up, other countries that might have, weapons. But not only do they have, access to controlling that strait, as many rockets as they could launch, they had an opportunity to build and build and build. And that was what they had been talking about in the 90s, is if we don't do something now, Iran will have tons of boats, they'll have tons of planes, they'll have this and
Yeah.
that. China will give them
Yeah,
this, China
absolutely.
will give them that. And look at where we're at. Look at what they have. And I think that's pretty interesting too, which is crazy to think about. It's like to see that these people are like prophesying almost. They had out the but economically, putting a bunch of boats, I mean, if you think about it, just putting a beaver dam right in the middle between the Houthis and the Iranians is pretty ballsy. But even though it is hurting the world economically to a degree, it is killing
But
Iran
it's got to be doing
and
something.
China economically. Unbelievable.
I mean, maybe.
What
Maybe I'm
is
off.
it's
Maybe I'm
bad.
wrong about the whole Israel situation
When you're
here,
not
but
well,
propaganda is killing me, dude. Like everywhere you freaking look, it's just nothing but this, that, and the other. And it's just like, what do you even believe anymore? AI is so prevalent in the media. The left's telling the right's
yeah,
telling the left. Nobody knows what in the world's going on. It's like there's a huge smoke screen, and we're just trying to sit here and figure it all out. We talked about this the other night in one of our multiple retakes, but I feel like people are going to get information from people who are podcasting and they're trying to figure out the stuff. They're talking amongst each other and they may know a guy like, you know, you may know a guy, and he may know a guy that's got some information that's different, but it's kind of like every post-apocalyptic movie or any kind of World War III-esque movie where you always have somebody on the radio feeding information to people to keep them aware. When you can't trust the media, when you can't trust what's on the news. I mean, I was saying this to someone the other day. It might have been you. I don't know. Can't retain information, remember? But it's like, man, there went the train. It left the station. The train of thought went, boom.
no, it's okay. No, I get it. Today or yesterday, I don't remember when it was, but the president, boy, it's in Southern America. I want to say Argentina. That sounds right. That sounds right. His last name was different than it is now. I do not remember his former last name,
Uh,
but he is cousins with Bibi. That's his cousin. And so a bunch of classified documents came out. Over 1,500 documents came out. And I think that was 2025. But right now, you're hearing all these people come out. Oh,
oh, yeah.
Hitler was in the documents and had two daughters, so Hitler didn't really die. And the skull that they found was really a woman's skull. When in reality, the guy offed himself. Okay, he's dead.
You moved. We'll give it a second. So I appreciate everyone, giving us a shot, giving us a listen here.
Thank you for tuning in. Stay tuned for the next episode. Until next time, let's talk about it.